We're going to have an introduction to bearings here. Okay, so what are bearings? So bearings is a way of describing the direction of one thing from another. Okay, so it could be two boats on the ocean. You're describing how what direction of a boat is from the boat you're on. It could be the position of 2 points on a page, which is likely to happen when you're going through questions or being asked questions in an exam. It could be anything that involves kind of the position of one thing relative to another. So there's a few things we've got to do to standardize this to make sure that everybody does the same thing when we're talking about bearings. So there's three important things about bearings. So whenever we write a bearing or draw a bearing, it always has to be measured from north. Okay, north will be given to you in a question. You don't have to turn your page so it's facing north. So it's important that you have an understanding of your compass points. So north is the important one for bearings, but then you also need to know that it goes around east, south, and west. So you're going to be drawing this upwards arrow with north. In general, you want to kind of make it follow the lines, and sometimes they'll give you the north, so you don't have to even draw it. So the first thing is, whenever you're doing giving a bearing, it's always measured from north. Number two. So if we're talking about the direction of one thing to another, we are going to be talking about angles. So given that we're measuring the position of something from north, we could either go in this direction or this direction, so clockwise or anti-clockwise. Now, we need to make sure everybody's doing the same thing, so that means we all go clockwise. So it has to be measured from north in a clockwise direction. So as the clock goes round, like so. Okay, so you're always going to go from north and you're going to go in this direction. Okay, the third thing is to help identify them as a bearing. Okay, so if I give you an angle, you know it's a bearing. And the way we do that is that it has to have 3 digits. So it has to have something in the hundreds column, the tens column, and in the units column. It is possible for bearings to have decimals, but they definitely have to have 100, a 10, and a units column. Okay, so they're all 3 digits. Okay, so it will be something, something, something degrees. Okay, so that does mean if you've got an acute angle, like, I don't know, 34, you've got to fill this space with a 0. Okay, a couple of things. So now I immediately know that's going to be a bearing, so that has to be measured from north in a clockwise direction. And also, if we were communicating and I was telling someone on another ship where I was, if I gave them something that didn't have 3 digits, they know that I must have given them a mistake, or there must be a mistake in what we've worked out. Right then, so first of all, we're going to mark on some bearings onto some drawings, and then after that, in another video, we'll look at actually measuring them and drawing them. Okay, so let's have 2 points on a page. Let's have a point here, and we'll call that A, and then let's have a point over down here, and we'll call that B. Okay, so we're going to do the bearing of B from A. So we're going to be starting at A and think, what direction is B from A? So first of all, it has to be measured from north. So I'm going to put a north line onto my diagrams. So normally we do an arrow straight up and put an N for north. Okay, now I need to talk about this direction here. So when I'm at A, looking towards B. So I'm going to add that line on the diagram so that it's a bit clearer. Okay, and now I'm going to mark on the bearing of B from A. Okay, so the bearing of B from A. Okay, the important thing of this question is from A. So we're starting at A and then we're going towards B. So first of all, we have to start measuring it from north. So we're going to start from here. Then we have to go in a clockwise direction, so this way around. So that means we're going to go from north in a clockwise direction until we hit that line that's in the direction of B. So your bearing from A to B would be like so, would be this angle here. Okay, at the moment we're just marking them on. You don't need to worry about measuring it. That would be the bearing of B from A. Right, let's do one more quickly under here. So let's have a point A up here. Actually, we've done A and B, let's do C. And we'll do D down here. Okay, so we're going to do the bearing of D from C. So find the bearing. So we're going to mark on the bearing of D from C. So the important thing is it's from C heading towards D. So first thing we're going to do is add on our north at C, because we're going from C to D. So let's add on our north. So straight up from C. A lot of the time if you get a question like this in an exam and they're not drawing north for you already, it'll be on a grid, so you can definitely make sure your north line is, or all your north lines are in the same direction, parallel. So this is going to be our north. Now we're going to draw a line from C to D, so that's when we're at C facing D, and then we're going to think about what direction we're going to turn for this bearing. Okay, so when we're doing our bearings, let me just move that so you can see up here. We always go from north, so from here, clockwise, so we're going to go in this direction, and it has to have 3 digits. We won't worry about the digits yet because we're not measuring. So it's got to go from north, so we're going to start at north, and we're going to go in a clockwise direction, and we're just going to stop when we hit the line we need to be at. Okay, so this here is the bearing of D from C, and this here is the bearing of B from A. Okay, so 3 key things about bearings. They're measured from north in a clockwise direction. They have 3 digits. And another key thing in the questions, you want to look for this from A, from C. Okay, that from tells you where you're going to draw your north on and start measuring.